Have you ever heard of abduction reports involving USOs?
Well, you know, people don't really know where they go when they're taken in these abduction reports. There's a lot of the abduction reports where they're taken out of the smaller craft into larger hangar-like areas or what they think might be larger ships. But again, they can't nail down that location. So you can't rule it out. Again, if they do have some kind of an undersea base, it would only make sense that, you know, they would be able to have access to it however they wanted to use it. Just on the same other side of the coin, it could just as easily be deep underground and land too, and they wouldn't know the difference. Now, in the Travis Walton abduction, for example, he was gone 5 days. Now, we really don't know where that little ship that he left went when it left the forest region in Arizona. But it's pretty much a given that he thinks he was taken to a larger ship and had more room to move around in it when he escaped kind of and roamed. It doesn't fit the inside of the original ship he was taken in. That was just too small to have provided details that he provided of when he came to. So where something like that could have been, it might have been outer space, it might have been underground, it could have been any place like that that he was taken, as with many of these people that report going on board ships. You know, the smaller ships, I believe, and this is a lot of people crack up when I say this, I go, why don't they have bathrooms? Well, because they're not in them long enough to need them, for one thing, is a firm belief of mine anyway.
Yeah.
You know, shuttlecraft on Star Trek, you don't see a head on those. They just use them real quick down from the Enterprise onto the planet. And I think that's what a lot of these smaller UFOs are, obviously. You know, they have technology greater than ours, but would you want to travel to Pluto in a Volkswagen, or would you want to go in a Winnebago?
Yeah, Winnebago.
I rest my case.
Yeah.
You know, and supposedly they have superior intelligence, so they've already thought of that.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, I saw a craft myself over Azusa, California in 1979. It was rectangular in shape, and it was about a mile in length and probably about a half mile in width. Although I can't accurately gauge that. I'm guessing the width. I did see the San Gabriel Mountains in the background from it, so I could tell they were higher, and its altitude was probably like this. And it was passing overhead a parking lot that my girlfriend at the time and I were coming out of a market, and happened to catch the peripheral motion like this and looked up and saw it. Along with, you know, there was at least, it was a large parking lot in a suburb of LA, Azusa, you know, heavily trafficked area. There was probably at least another 100 people in there. And they saw it as well because there was whistling and hooting going on, kind of like a rock concert type atmosphere. And this thing was only moving about 25 miles an hour, which, you know, that's incredibly slow. We don't have anything that can stay in the air going that slow, for one thing. But then it all of a sudden stretched out into this thin line of light that snapped to a point and then went up and gone that quick.
Wow.
So, you know, and that Azusa is fairly close to the ocean, maybe 50 miles inland at most, about 25, 30 miles from LA proper. San Gabriel Mountains, of course, run along parallel and become the Santa Monica Mountains at the end when they peter out, and there's the Pacific Ocean, which interestingly, that's where the Battle of LA took place as well, the craft that was seen then. And there are accounts of that craft from the Battle of LA submerging in Santa Monica Bay as well. So again, you know, USO, UFO, it's the same thing. It just, you're talking about the element it's flying through, I think.
Yeah. You talk about USO abductions. If we could ever solve the Bermuda Triangle mystery, I'd say we'd come up with our big abduction theory.
You know, I've been through the Bermuda Triangle, and it was, well, humid as hell. A lot of lightning, a lot of strange, you know, stuff that an LA city boy hadn't seen before. And I do think I saw some kind of bioluminescence in the water going on, because I remember the waves had kind of like a green glow to them, which I attribute to some type of algae and bioluminescence. from what I understand, there's a lot of reports of magnetic disturbance in the area, and perhaps that's a large cause of many things. Perhaps it's an area where there's even a portal. Now, what they call a portal, let me say. Now, again, we're talking things that we can't prove exist, but witnesses to, say, the Philadelphia experiment, which was an actual real experiment that the Navy conducted, did say that they saw a type of tunnel opening up that looked like it was formed through clouds and some type of vortex, which are the same descriptions that we have from encounters that happened in the Bermuda Triangle and other places with similar anomalies on the planet. Now, you know, just because we don't have the technology at our disposal doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And I'm a firm believer we don't know what we don't know, plain and simple.
Yeah.
There's many discoveries still ahead in the world of physics and quantum mechanics and things. And I think we're going to have an incredible future coming up very soon because of the incredible discoveries they're making at an exponential rate, I might add.
Yep.
So the fact that these things exist and we can't explain them doesn't bother me too much. And when I hear witness accounts of them, okay, witnesses are taken in courts for just about any crime or other thing you might go to testify for. Witness accounts are highly credible, especially when it's deathbed confessions or things like that. So witness accounts, although, you know, some people don't give them a lot of credibility, I do. And especially, you know, older accounts through history that have passed through the ages of things like seeing lights in the sea, Christopher Columbus's logs coming over. They saw strange lights in the ocean. And there's absolutely no reason to think that these people who made it through history as being incredible explorers, why an account like that should get any less credit. You know, I think they recorded everything else pretty accurately. So why should we even suspect for a moment that encounters like that were not recorded accurately?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a good point, because I was going to ask you that there are some amazing encounters that have been reported in the past, but don't get the mainstream publicity that a lot of reports get.
Absolutely. And even in the Bible, like encounters like Jonah being swallowed by the whale.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do we really think that he was swallowed by an actual whale? Or was it something large that came up from the bottom of the ocean, he went into and they went back down and he was gone for a while, and definitely came up a changed man from that encounter? So, you know, is that possibly an early USO report? I do believe so.
Yeah, yeah. It's perception of people back in those days on how they would have described something.
Exactly. You only have the tools at your disposal, exactly like the cargo cult in the South Pacific during World War II. You know, we're used to coming in, bringing all lies, and life was good during that time for them. And then when the war ended and we didn't go there anymore, well, they missed this cargo that came from the sky, so they started building effigies of the airplanes in hopes that the gods would return and bring their cargo with them again. So it's very easy to start whole belief systems on encounters just like that.